you say TRI-ZEN, what comes to my mind? I think convenience, smart, innovation.
How do you really just take that quantum leap forward and get into the shoes of the future resident of Colombo?
Our smart homes here, you can just say, hey Google, turn off all the lights and everything goes off.
I think it's the only truly smart building from the ground up in Colombo.
It's about, embracing community living and living in the heart of the city with all of this smart tech enabled as well.
It's an enhancement of your life.
Hello and welcome everyone to another very exciting discussion on TRI-ZEN. I'm Sachit Fernando and I'm here today with the Sector President for the Property Group of John Keells Holdings, Nayana Mawilmada, and the Head of Sales and Marketing for the Property Group and Vice President of John Keells Holdings, Nadeem Shums. Nayana, Nadeem, welcome. So Nayana, Nadeem, the last time you two had this discussion on TRI-ZEN, it was at the very early stages of the project, and it's almost mesmerizing to think about the craftsmanship and meticulous detail that went into the conceptualization of this project. Nayana, if you wouldn't mind giving a little more substance to what went into the design and the thinking behind TRI-ZEN?
4 years ago, when we started off with TRI-ZEN, the challenge like we have with many kind of large-scale development projects is trying to anticipate what the future will be, because it's going to take 4 to 5 years to build a project. So you have to envision what a place is going to be a few years ahead and build for that. So by definition, you have to plan for the future, build for the future. But when we looked at TRI-ZEN, we took this stance of how do you redefine the way urban living will be experienced in Australia? How do you redefine that? How do you set a new frontier? And that was really the genesis of TRI-ZEN, because we started out and said, anybody can build a concrete box. Let's create an experience. Let's create an entire lifestyle. Let's introduce a new way of living to Colombo. And that's really where TRI-ZEN started. And with that, we started pushing all kinds of frontiers, right? So one was the density. We have 891 apartments. At the time, people were like, oh my goodness, how can you even handle this? But we've managed it beautifully. And it gives you such a nice critical mass to deal with so many other technologies, so many other dealing with suppliers, vendors. It's effectively a village in a building. But then when you start doing it that scale, you really need to think about what does it mean to be part of this community? Then the next layer of that is how do you create community space around that? And how do you introduce a variety of spaces and activities in this building to sustain such a community? One of the other areas we looked at very carefully is parking. Not everybody needs a car when you're living right in the middle of the city. So why would you penalize everybody for a car park slot? So you can kind of opt out of parking if you want to. TRI-ZEN and just get lesser price, because what we find, we've actually surveyed parking lots around the city and most of them are actually empty, right? So you really don't need it. That was one. Then the other thing we did was really look at very, very efficient apartment design. And again, we studied how people live, how people function, and we took unnecessary spaces out. And we made the apartments as efficient as possible. Most people are quite surprised at how nicely they turn out. Because when we first did it, people were like, oh, how can you even manage this kind of space? But then we've took all the wasteful elements out. And if you look at a plan for TRI-ZEN or you walk through the modern apartment, people are really quite blown away by what we've been able to achieve. I mean, there's many elements. I can go on and on. Another element was we looked at the future of mobility. What's it going to be? And then we made the call that, look, electric is going to be a big part of the future. Let's make sure we have provision for 1/3 of the parking lots in this building to be EV charger enabled, and a whole bunch of fast chargers and common chargers at the ground level as well. Again, unmatched in Sri Lanka. And the most kind of progressive leap, I suppose, we were the first to really jump, and the ones who built it from the ground up, is to integrate it with smart tech. So this will be every apartment in this building would be a smart home. And again, that's kind of unmatched. So I think there's many elements in this whole thing where we said, look, what is a future lifestyle in Colombo going to be? What is a future urban lifestyle in Colombo going to be? Can we engineer for that? And that's what we have.
Nadeem, with regard to how we made this project accessible, it was clear in the previous discussion that was had that an objective of TRI-ZEN was to make it more accessible to a larger sway of the population. What were some of the measures we took to achieve that and to take that step forward?
Yeah, so I think really what we looked at was, giving convenient, affordable spaces in the heart of the city. Now, when I say the heart of the city, like any major city around the world, even in regional cities, it's really being located in the downtown part of the city. And that's what TRI-ZEN offers you, right? You're right slap bang in the heart of the city with all the conveniences around. I mean, you just walk out of TRI-ZEN, you've got 4 major supermarkets across the road. You go down the road, you've got hotels, you've got restaurants, you've got a lot of F&B options in the area, and lots of entertainment options for your kids as well. So Nayana spoke about the lifestyle that TRI-ZEN offers you, and I think with location, that's an extension of that lifestyle that we offer within TRI-ZEN that you get around the development.
And it's that the fact that we have such an amazing location, which makes cars somewhat irrelevant. Right? Because you really can walk to practically anything. I mean, you can even hobble to hospital if you really have to, because it's that far away.
Nadeem, in addition to the convenience and the maximization of it that comes with the location, why did we decide to embark on a project of this scale? Who did we think would occupy it, and what were the kind of expectations we had as well?
I mean, when we were kind of brainstorming initially and conceptualizing this project, we really looked at some of the regional peers and in terms of the transitions that have happened in regional countries. And what we saw was a kind of natural shift from landed housing to apartments. And as you know, which we discussed in our previous video, where we had about 70 to 80% of housing in most of these cities being apartments, where Sri Lanka and Colombo is still at its infancy with just about 10% of housing being apartments. So that was a no-brainer for us. So we knew that, this kind of shift is going to happen in Colombo and from the periphery as well. And that's what we've been seeing over the last few years. We're kind of seeing this shift from people moving from landed housing to apartments for the convenience. Because as we said before, you would take about 3 to 4 hours of your day just spending time in traffic if you were living in the outskirts of the city. But located in the heart of the city, you could add maybe 3 years more to your life in terms of giving just more relaxing time for you or to do whatever you want rather than just being stuck in a car. So I think that was kind of the initial thinking, and that's where we really saw this market. And we thought, yes, it is a big project, and the demand will come from this kind of natural shift that we will see. And I'm glad to say that, 4 years down now, we've sold 75% of this project.
So Nayana and Nadeem, the past few years have been very challenging. How did we really push through these challenges, and what is it that we did to kind of really bring TRI-ZEN to where it is now?
Good question. It has been challenging, and we were reflecting recently that TRI-ZEN is a project that was built in crisis from day one. We broke ground, we had the East bombings, we had a coup, we had COVID, and we had an economic crisis, yet we're 75% tall. We're 53 stories taller right now. And I think that is testament to our team, to be really frank. I think we have this amazing group of people who are incredibly passionate, and we never stopped. Through all of this, we kept going. And I think it's just kind of resilience of our team, our company, that really has helped us sail through. The other thing, one of the things we thought about way back when everybody was pricing projects in dollars 4 or 5 years ago, we said we're going to price this in rupees because we want to take that risk off for customers and allow them that stability that they need. And that again has proven to be quite effective, and we've stuck to our word on that.
And one of the other major challenges that construction costs has doubled. And if you look at our pricing, it has not. And you can't replace an asset like this today in the heart of Colombo. And today you're buying a product in downtown Colombo at a very attractive price. And you're not going to see this sort of pricing in the near future.
You're not going to see it ever again, actually, because construction costs are just, the horse has bolted.
Exactly. So I think in terms of, investment, I think right now is the point to come in and buy a product like TRI-ZEN.
So thank you very much, Nayana and Nadeem, for your time. Any parting thoughts?
So I think, Sri Lanka has been through a lot of challenges over the last few years. And how I look at it is, in any crisis comes opportunity, and it's that kind of resilience. And I think companies like John Keells, can steady the course and continue these projects and really deliver world-class developments to our customers, even in the midst of this crisis. And I feel the fundamentals haven't changed. So if you look at Sri Lanka, like I explained before, apartment living is only about 10% of our occupied housing. And we feel that will grow exponentially over the medium to long term. So I feel there's good potential in the residential space for the future.
At John Keells Properties, we have this motto of creating new worlds. TRI-ZEN was all about envisioning a new world and building for it. And I'm very, very confident that that future is going to be realized.